2 Bolton workers have been slapped with £1,000 for failing to self-isolate upon return from their holidays abroad. A teacher in her 20s returned to school in the coronavirus hotspot just days after her Europe jaunt, police say. And a man aged in his 40s also shirked quarantine rules and returned to work at his business just days after returning from a trip to Spain. Greater Manchester Police revealed that 2 cases in Bolton, which is the UK's worst-hit hotspot, and remains under a local lockdown as it leads the country's skyrocketing COVID-19 infection rates. The rule breakers' antics have emerged just weeks after it was claimed the Greater Manchester town's spiralling outbreak may have been seeded by a man who broke self-isolation rules by going on a pub crawl. Earlier this month, Bolton West MP Chris Green claimed the man who returned from a holiday in Spain and went on a pub crawl could be to blame for a rise in new cases in Bolton. Despite 2 weeks in local lockdown, Bolton's infection rate has tipped back over 200 cases per 100,000 people. According to the latest Public Health England figures, the town has seen rates of 209 cases per 100,000 people in the 7 days to September 19. That's despite measures including 10 p.m. curfews for pubs and restaurants now being rolled out nationally, and the town's limits on gatherings. In the 2 recent cases highlighted by police, the schoolteacher from the Darwen area was fined £1,000 for returning to her job at a high school in Bolton, despite flying back from Amsterdam 2 days before. The woman, aged in her 20s, was visited by officers on Tuesday, September 22, and fined, the force said. The man in his 40s, from Horwich, had returned from Spain on Sunday 20 September and was instructed to quarantine for 14 days. It transpired that during this period, the man had instead gone to work at his business in the Horwich, rather than self-isolating, a Greater Manchester Police statement today said. Officers from the Force's Bolton division attended his business on Tuesday and informed him of the £1,000 fine as a result of his breach. Police did not say whether either of the pair had tested positive for the virus. Pupils and staff at hundreds of schools around Greater Manchester are self-isolating, sending entire classrooms back home to learn online due to positive coronavirus tests. Greater Manchester Police said officers had so far handed out £1,000 fixed penalty notices to people for failing to self-isolate on arrival from countries on the UK's quarantine list. It had also received tip-offs from members of the public about people suspected of flouting quarantine rules after trips abroad. The force warned, those that are required to self-isolate may be contacted by Public Health England to check they are following the regulations. If there is no response after a number of attempts of trying to make contact, the details of the individual will be referred to the police by Border Force. Chief Inspector Nicola Williams said, "I hope these fines send out a clear message to those who wrongly believe they are exempt from this rule, that we will enforce this wherever we find there to be breaches." This is an immensely challenging time for all of us, whether it's the impact these restrictions are having on our personal lives or on our working lives. However, it is absolutely vital that the town comes together and does what it can to curb what is a worrying rate of transmission in the area, and we have been working tirelessly at GMP and alongside the council to ensure that we too are doing all we can. This includes those who recklessly flout quarantining rules when coming back from abroad and who run the risk of infecting others, especially when they are working or socializing with groups of people and putting them at risk. We are still working by the principles of engaging, explaining, and encouraging before opting for the last resort of enforcing, but there is no tolerance for those who are blatantly ignoring the rules that the rest of us are doing our best to abide by on a daily basis.